Chuck, obviously you have been watching this as an American citizen and as a leader in U.S. business. How are you digesting this?
Well, Emily, first of all, thanks for having me. And it's certainly not been the beginning to 2021 that we had all hoped for. And candidly, it's just sad. And everything that's occurred is sad. We're at a time where, our nation has so many crises going on. We need to come together. We need to work together. We need to be solving problems for the citizens of the country. And instead, we're dealing with the things we're dealing with. So it's a sad day.
So what is your reaction to the president's impeachment? I mean, obviously, you're a business leader. We're facing an uncertain few days ahead and possibly a not peaceful transition of power.
Well, I think, as I said, it's just part of a sad narrative that's going on in the country right now. Clearly, what occurred last week was a travesty. It shouldn't have happened, and those who are responsible need to be held accountable. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to moving forward. I think there's so much that we need to get done and we can get done. And I never dreamed, honestly, that the United States of America, at a time where we had so many challenges, that we couldn't put down our partisan beliefs and actually come together as a leadership team in Washington and actually try to solve some of these problems. But clearly, that's what we've witnessed.
So, look, what is your outlook under a new administration for the things that are some of Cisco's priority, whether it is cybersecurity or infrastructure or our global competitiveness with countries like China?
Yeah, Emily, I actually think that technology has a lot to offer in what's going on in the world right now, what's going on in the United States. I think when you look at the incoming administration, clearly there's a lot of focus around infrastructure, and I think that will create jobs, and it'll also modernize a lot of the capabilities in this country, which we need to do. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, obviously, around cybersecurity. We need to deal with data privacy issues. I think the impending rollouts of 5G that are going on in the United States and around the world are certainly important to our future as well. And I think that technology can also play a big role in the inequality issues that we face in our country. We've proven through this pandemic that people can work anywhere, and I think that gives us the opportunity to create jobs in places where we might not have thought that was possible in the past. So I think that there's a lot to be done. There's a lot that we can do, and we're optimistic that we can come together as a nation and actually begin to solve some of these problems.
Meantime, the pandemic is still raging. You and I are both in California, where we're hitting new peaks in cases and hospitalizations. You've been thinking about how Cisco and technology can help with the vaccine rollout, which, to be fair, has been slow. How do you imagine Cisco and technology in general helping to improve that process?
Well, we've been involved in lots of activity relative to the pandemic, and we are obviously experiencing the peak right now. I think early days, you looking at some of the technology we were bringing in for pop-up clinics. Now we're supporting with wireless and cameras and different technology, the pop-up vaccination centers that are beginning to show up. We have IoT sensors that are ensuring that these vaccines are transported effectively in many cases. We have security cameras that are monitoring them, and obviously we're providing all the connectivity for the locations where they need to be administered. And hopefully we'll begin to see much more progress on this as I know everyone has been so looking forward to the vaccines. I sure hope we can do a better job over the next month.
Now, let's talk about how the productivity world, how we work, evolves as we move into a new normal. What's your sense of when the business environment in general will return to normal?
Well, you know what? One thing that we've seen is that our customers moved from, the rapid response that they had to deal with last year, getting their employees working from home securely with the collaboration tools they needed. And then they took a bit of a pause, and then we've seen customers now, I think, believe they have to move. And so we see customers investing. Obviously, technology was a key priority before the pandemic, and I think now every customer realizes how critically important it is. And one of the aspects of that is, what does the future of work look like? And I think we all believe now that it will be a hybrid model. We think employees, as most people think, that they'll work some days from home, some days from the office. We need to work really hard to make sure that the technology experience for those individuals who are remote and those who are sitting in a room in the meeting are quite similar, so that they experience the same productivity. But I think it will change going forward. And again, it changes how we think about where we live. It changes how we think about where we can hire, where we can invest in resources. And I think it is going to be a different world as we come through this.
Now, in other news, Cisco is continuing to do deals and try to do deals. You recently won a temporary court order to block Acacia from abandoning a planned merger. Can you give us an update on that? If necessary, could you raise or would you raise your offer?
Well, Emily, as you know, it's currently a legal issue, so I'm not going to be able to comment much. But I will say that, we were fairly confident that we had the appropriate Chinese approvals, and we thank the Chinese for working with us to finally get to that point. We've been there a long time, and we really appreciate, the opportunity. At the same time, they didn't believe we had it, so we're having those discussions obviously right now, and I'm hopeful that we'll come to some sort of rationalization over the next few weeks.
And as with Cisco's business, obviously Webex has been a standout success in the midst of the pandemic. Hardware sales have more suffered. And I'm curious, do you expect more of the same this year, or as trends evolve and as the macro environment changes, do you see a change in some of your own business trends as well?
Yeah, Emily, I think that Webex is up to have 600 million meeting attendees per month. It's really held up well. The teams have done an incredible job. The feature velocity is faster than it ever has been. And I think that when you look at other aspects of our business, one of the things we saw is that those customers who had begun to modernize their infrastructure, even sort of their underlying infrastructure in their campuses, we saw that continue. And it was really those customers who were still buying the legacy technology, the older technology, that's what we saw slow down. So those customers who were committed to it kept moving. And I think the rest of the customers realize now, between the cybersecurity events, the pandemic, the other crises, that they have to have a robust, modern technology infrastructure. And so I think we will see customers begin to invest, and I think that they will be looking to prepare their organizations and the foundation of their organizations for whatever they may face in the future.